Well, good morning. Let's get into this as quickly as I can. I'm finding a lot of people sending questions about how to do some of this CNC router type work, especially. And they'll ask questions, and I think they believe they could just get someone to type the answer, and it'll be just that's all there is to it. But machining takes a while to learn, and just for my background again, I am a CNC machinist for my day job, and I've been around precision measuring for many years in the automotive business and around manufacturing and different companies. But I am by no means know everything. Don't claim to know everything, and I'm constantly learning. But I was just noticing there was a man that has been asking me how to do a cribbage board. Now I've never done a cribbage board, and I don't know any. I don't even know how to play the game, but it looks pretty neat, and I would like to build one. Just mainly to help some other people do this. Now we could draw this up easily, and this one might be a laser cut file, but that doesn't always matter. It depends on how you want to do it. I have laser engraving machine. I have my long mill MK2 set up just for laser cutting with a JTech Photonics is the company name. I'm down around Houston area. That has really good laser stuff. They're not cheap, but they do work really well. So you can use a larger machine to cut rather than have a small laser engraver that won't do. It'll do really good on engraving, but like this stuff looks like it was engraved in here. And there's machines that are really good at that work, but as far as cutting, a large, like the long mill can do 34 by 32 inches, you might say. So it's really good at cutting up to, you can cut up to about a half-inch stuff, I think, with that 44 watt that I have. But it does quarter-inch really well. So I'm going to look into this, but we will probably be looking into this for the sake of maybe milling this out, but I want to see how thick this is, and these were done in layers, it appears to me. I don't know. I just went and bought this from someone called Timberland CNC. Now, I don't know anything about this, but this, I think, was about $6.50, somewhere around $7 is what it cost with tax, I think. And that's the easiest way to get started on something, is find something you like and then see what their vectors look like. Now, a lot of times the vectors are not clean, and I've said that before, and I don't want to dwell on it, but let's see what this looks like. And there's a guy in here named, I was just searching for things here. There's a guy, how do we get to this? Let me see if I can find this question. I want to show you what I've seen this a lot of times. Again, I'm not knocking anybody or trying to belittle anyone. I'm just showing how new people can be to this field, and how I've been doing this for nearly 10 years, just as a hobby shop. I don't sell things really unless someone asks me to do something. I'll make something and maybe sell it for a little nothing, but I'm not in business. I work full-time as a machinist at aircraft manufacturer, and that's just what I do. This guy's name here, he was telling me he was wanting to do and I gave him a crash course one day in the Vectric software, and then he said he can't calculate this file. Well, let me show you. This is not a vector file, and see how he was in Cut 2D. I think that was a trial that he was doing. And you can see this is not a vector file. This is a picture, like a snapshot or a JPEG or something that was just snapped off of somewhere. And no, this was not a vector, and that's not going to work. So that's why I want to show this real quick. So you go in, you either draw or buy a file, and I bought that one. I haven't even checked. I'm sure they have emailed that file to me now. So let's go in and check our email here and see what we can do with this file. So here it is. It's the transaction. That's how it works. You just click on it, pay for it, and then it will get emailed to you. And then it says you can download your files. And let's see, SVG files is what you really want. And so you go in your account and you look at purchases, I think it will save things for you. See right here it says, there's a cribbage word that says download files, so let's do that. And I'm trying to see where the download is. Okay, you just push download right here. I don't do this real often, so. And I'm looking for it right here, and I can open this file. It's a zip file. So I'm going to right click that and go open with. And we can do an extractor there. Don't know what that's going to do. That's not what I should have done. Let's just double click that and see, here's some instructions and different files like that in here. That's pretty normal. What you're going to get is, so you can look at instructions. There's probably different pieces, so there's 1, 2, and 3. So if you open this stuff, it's going to show you kind of what you're getting and I guess how it assembles and things like that. So it's pretty, someone spent a lot of time going in and doing this. So that's why, you know, people don't always just want to share their files with you. They've got time invested and they want to make a little bit of their money for, you know, kind of like you get paid for your job and they get paid, they have to get paid something or it's not worth doing, you know. So I'm just a hobbyist, so I'm willing to help you if I can for nothing as of now, unless I retire, and then I'll have to probably make something to get by on, right? So there's the things I want to see is what are the vectors, and then let's look into kind of how that works. And I'm not hopefully going to dwell on this too much. So let's look in here and see where are the vectors. Here's a, it says SVG file there. Compact cribbage with storage. I don't know what size this stuff is. So let's just open this file. I don't know what, so that picked VCard Pro to open that with. So I have a Spire on here too, so I didn't know what. So this looks like it's automatically selecting the size that this is. Not sure what that line is right there. That's weird. So anyway, we'll just say okay. This is using an offset. I don't like offsets. Let's turn the offset off for now. We're just trying to get their workspace set up, and this appears to be a tiny little thing. It's 11 inches and something. So this is a compact travel size thing or something. So let's just say okay here. Now, I don't know what that file is for there. That line is for. I don't think I need it, but we're just looking for the vectors here, and let's see how clean the vectors are. A lot of times they'll be really bad. If they saved a DXF file, they're usually really bad. So try not to use DXF files. Always try to get an SVG, or if there's an EPS or something like that, I think it's called. Those are pretty good. See, that's pretty crappy, but we can get by with that. There's just too many nodes around that corner, which these are straight lines and you really don't want that. But you know, you could go in and fix that, but I'm not going to worry about that too much. That probably fits into a certain place and we'll probably not worry about it. Yeah, these are really bad. See, that's what I mean. When you buy other people's files, that was probably originally a DXF file. And you can probably fix that by going to, this is, I shouldn't even be worrying about this right now, but if you go into here and push curve fit, and it says it's going to do circular arcs or Bezier curves. Sometimes you pick Bezier curves, and then it says replace selected. Now you preview this and it shows how it cleans a lot of those up, and you can say OK. And so now if I push node edit mode, you can see that it really cleaned that up. Took some of those out, but it could also distort the shape a little bit. And usually you can do all right with that. And you know, there's an extra node right in here that I don't really care for, but sometimes you can right click and say delete point, and that might kind of clean that up a little more. Yeah, I'm getting picky. I know I'm picky about stuff like that, but anyway, so that's clean. I'm assuming this one goes in that same place, so you would want to do that same thing here and then see if that affects anything. But curve fit, it's going to say preview, and it looks like it's better. We'll just say OK. And again, until you save this, you haven't really changed anything. But if everything seems fine, you can save it or save a backup file if you don't want to tamper with these things. It's a little bit of advanced stuff to be doing this, so just do this at your own risk, and don't save it or save it back. So that's clean those up, and I guess that fits in here. I think that's a cover, so if you wanted to, you could, what I would probably do is just come up here and see if this fits this. It probably is the same size, and as you can see, it appears to be a really close fit for that, and I think that's got a ledge, maybe that fits in or something. But you know, that's how you could find out, is if you distorted it too much, you know, you can see that it may not fit exactly, but I'm not necessarily lined up exactly here, but you can go around and look at that stuff. I'm just telling you this to let you know that these files you buy are almost never very good. So you can play around with this kind of stuff, and it's probably safer not to tamper with those shapes like I just did, because you could make it where they don't fit right, if it matters like that. But you know, same way on all of this stuff. Whoa, I pushed an M instead of an N. You know, you can see that this is pretty pitiful as well, and we'll preview this and go OK. And that's the way I would do everything on here, just because I'm very picky. I don't want a bunch of hatchet looking, you know, these are a bunch of straight lines instead of curves. And so if I push curve fit, preview, and it'll just clean it up. And I don't think some of these are quite as critical as what something that fits inside of. That's for a deck of cards to fit in, I think. And so anyway, that's kind of how that works. These aren't too bad here. It's got quite a bit going on there, but we'll leave that alone. Anyway, just showing you that, and here's some vectors that we can use. Now let's look at one of these circles, see what size these are. Look at it at 1/8 size. So that you're going to just, what you would do is take a 1/8 drill, like a lightning from IDC Woodcraft or something, and you go around and you would select all them and drill those. And if you were going to make this, I would figure out, and we'd have to read the instructions, but to me it looks like you could, trying to see if I can move this. This don't show any depth, so this is just a laser cut. So what you could do is say this is, let's go back to 2D for a minute. Set, that thickness shows 755, so I'm not sure why it's not showing that material. That's just what I had set last. I'll just put that on 3/4, and so if you was to go over here, this is how you would make these toolpaths. Whatever that guy's name was, Mike, or I think it was Mike, wasn't it? I hate to pick on him. I'm not trying to pick on him. I'm just using this for an example of, yeah, this is Mike. just showing an example of how you go about doing this stuff. So in this case, if you wanted to, say, drill all these holes in a piece of material, I would unselect anything except the holes, and you can put those holes in a layer. And you could even go select vectors. I'm not so sure. So let's just select everything here and then hold the shift, and you can unselect things that you don't want to be using in this. So we'll just unselect stuff like the letters for now. And we may have to look into some of this. This stuff is, like I told you, it's pretty rough using other people's. Oh, I'm selecting instead of unselecting. See, that's not even a closed vector. That's weird font or something. So yeah, just unselect things like this. Mike, if you're not sure about some of this, so just, I'm holding the shift key here to unselect this stuff. In any vectoric software, this is VCarve Pro. Same way with Aspire or Cut2D or anything else. Cut2D doesn't have quite as many tools available over here to do CNC router work or milling as VCarve Pro. That's really the main difference. Other than that, Cut2D Pro is the software I got started with on the CNC plasma table. And it, as far as I'm concerned, is the best program for that kind of work. So you can see I'm just getting rid of things. I could have, if this would have been drawn right, you could have had a layer. That's the thing, is you want to draw things, whether you're using Fusion or whatever, in layers that you can select different parts of it that you need to at any time, and not be wasting time like this selecting things out, and that someone else has really made a mess of things here. And it probably worked fine for their purpose because they were using a laser machine, and I may do this with the laser machine at some point, but I don't have a lot of time. My wife will probably be in the door here in a minute, and I'm telling them if we got company coming or what. So you know how it goes when you're home on the weekends. It's not necessarily your time. You'll do whatever you're told. Right? Been married for 33 years here, so I'm very well aware of that. Okay. So you see everything else. I hate to waste your time like this. I know I do too much talking on videos. That's why I can't upload half of the ones I make, because it's just too much talking. Okay. We're pretty much left with holes except for these vectors. We don't need those right now. Don't need any of this stuff on this toolpath. Don't need that. I don't know what that's all about. So you see anything but holes? I don't. So here's how you do these holes, Mike, or anyone else that is new to this stuff. If we were going to mill this out, we go over here, we push that arrow and it gives us over here to toolpath, and we'll do profile, toolpath, or you can do a drilling. If you're using a drill, an actual drill bit, as some people have a lightning, IDC Woodcraft sells a 1/8 and a 1/4 inch lightning. It's not really recommended to turn normal high-speed drills at 10,000 or above RPMs like these CNC routers run at. So when you push the drilling toolpath, it has that 1/8 lightning drill that's already come up. Let's look at the feeds on that. Make sure we agree with. You should do that every time. Push edit or select whichever and get into your tool here so you can change any. And it says, now on a drill toolpath, the diameter doesn't matter too much because all it is going to be drilling off the center line. But it's nice to have it all in here. And same way with the angle and all that is That's a normal 118 is a normal drill angle, and I don't know what those are. It doesn't matter that much on this. We're going to say what pass depth do we want to go. Not super important, but I think that means if you're going to do a peck drill cycle, which we probably would depending on the thickness of material we're using, that's half the diameter of the tool, which is fine. That spindle speed of 15,000 should be just fine. Doesn't really need to be that fast, although it's a tiny diameter, so that's fine. I wouldn't worry about that. Plunge rate at 60 inches a minute is probably fine. And I mean, that's pretty fast. 60 inches a minute for a drill is moving pretty quick. So we'll just go with it. All right. Then it says retract. So if you're peck drilling this right in here, if you look close, it shows your retract is how far it's going to go above the start, or you can retract above the height of the previous pass. If you want to select that, it'll just stay in the hole and do that. Personally, I think I would rather just come out to get rid of the chips. It may ball the chips up and smoke the wood. It could. If you pull out of the hole above it, say that's coming up 1/4 of an inch, that's too much. Probably come up about 1/8 of an inch, 125 would be fine. Let it throw them chips out of the hole and go back in there. And this is going a peck depth of 1/16, like we had set in the tool. Dwell at the bottom of each pass is probably not necessary. And that's really all. You can name your tool path right here to, let's just say crib drill. I'm just messing around here. And so we're going to go calculate right there. And so here's what it's going to look like. Now I had this tool set. See how high that's up in the air? That would take too long. You don't want to do that. And the reason it's like that, I've got another tool path I was working on earlier and I didn't change it back. So see on material setup, you can go right in here and say this clearance normally needs to be at about 0.1 or 0.2. Plunge is right before it does something. You can have that one at 0.1. Now hopefully your work is pretty clear. There's nothing that's going to get in the way of on that clearance of 0.1. Yeah, I'd rather leave that down low. Now that's going to be a little bit scary, so make sure there's nothing that you can hit when you do this. I'm just going to show you that this is going to recalculate, and you'll see that things are a lot closer to the work now. And also we're drilling this pretty deep. See? So also you can double click your toolpath and go in. That's going at 510 depth, and I don't know what the depth should be on this. But let's not go that deep. Let's go 3/8 deep. And then calculate that again. Okay. And now if we go in here and do a preview, you can see it previewing this. It's just going to go around drilling all these holes. Now with these simulation on drills, it doesn't show a lot of the retract stuff going on, but it is going on. Even though you could slow this down, but it's hard to really see the retract. And then you can speed this up and it'll get rid of them pretty quick. That's going to take a long time to drill that many holes, so if you wanted the bottom of the hose to not be pointed like a drill, you could go in with a small end mill, and it would take forever, but you could mill the bottom out, or just pack a 1/8 end mill in these holes to depth, and you could flatten that hole out. But I don't really like drilling with an end mill. And if you did drill with an end mill, make sure you use an upcut and not a downcut, because you want those, you want it ejecting those chips out of the holes. Anyway, I don't want to get too detailed on here. I just wanted to show you kind of, Mike, if this helps you at all. If you see any of this, this is just kind of the steps you go through, and I can turn on vectors right here, and we can see there's other vectors. We could choose these, and we could do, good grief. Let's close this. Now, if we wanted to pocket this out, and I don't know what, I haven't looked into this file too much, but let's just say if we wanted to pocket those out, then you would just go right here to where it says Pocket Toolpath. I don't know that that's in Cut 2D. That may be something you can't do with Cut 2D, but you can with VCarve and stuff. So then you just go pocket these, tell it what depth you want to pocket that down to. So we want to go 3/8 deep on that. We'll go 375 right there. This has tools in here. We want to remove some of this. Is just something from another job. And what we would use is if you don't think you can get into these tight areas with an end mill, that's the problem with a lot of milling. You know, we put this in 2D view. See, that's a fairly tight corner, and so it has to be open a little bit because the playing cards have to fit in here. So if you needed to come in and clean that up, what you do is use a smaller end mill. So in this case, what you do is just select a pretty good sized tool like a mini 1/4 inch diameter. Let's just use a Jenny end mill, 1/4 inch. I don't care about any. So I don't know what that note he put in there is for, using for 1/8 round over. I might have put that in, I don't remember. Probably what the settings were for. I was lying to it about something. So that's a 1/4 inch tool. I'm not in the tools that I thought I was. Here we go. 1/4 inch. There we go. That's the one I thought I had. That's the 1/4 inch upcut Jenny. Again, it doesn't matter as long as we have the diameter in here and what we want to do. So past depth of half the diameter is pretty normal. Step over of 40 or 50%. We can go 50 easily. Probably go more than that, but and then turn it 18,000. Yeah, that's probably good. 100 inches a minute, and I don't like that. Let's go. Plunge rate at about 40 or so. So let's do that, and then we'll use this one to clean up with. A 1/8 tool is going to come in and do a little bit of a step over and clean that up in those corners for us. And we'll leave that alone just like it is. And there's the passes. And you can look at these passes and adjust. It's going to take a 1/8 per pass. That's fine. Plunge distance is a ramp distance of probably 1/2 inch is fine. That way it don't plunge straight down into it. So now you can see the heck. Oh, that's where it's coming down in those. Huh. See what kind of ramp that was set on. Well, it doesn't give you a choice, it just says ramp. Yeah, it's just coming in and chopping that corner out after it's done is all that 1/8 tool is doing, I guess. So, yeah, that's what it's going to do. And so let's go ahead and, I don't remember if I calculated that or not. Now let's preview that. And that's what it's going to do. It's going to, the 1/4 inch tool is going to clean that out first, what it can get to, and then the 1/8 is going to come behind it and clean up the little corners and things that it couldn't reach with that bigger tool. See there? That's really all there is to this. You know, you could do whatever you want with vectors like this. Even if this is made for laser cutting or anything else, that's what I'm just trying to show you. Use the machining operations to whatever you need it to do. And I don't know much about any of this stuff. I'm just pulling files. I bought this file just to show what you can do, and I may or may not ever make. I have a lot of files I bought just to look at for examples of things that I've never made and probably never will make. So, all right, I'll leave this with you. If you have any questions, contact me and we can go over any of this. I can help you with it. Only on weekends, remember. I'm going all week working. I'm going about 50 or 60 hours a week, working 30, 40 miles away from where I live here. So that's just how that is. So y'all have a great Sunday afternoon. We'll see you next time.